Today, we dive into one of the most critical turning points in global politics. US President Donald Trump has just urged Ukraine to strike a deal with Russia. His words came after a high-stakes summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, a meeting that has set off shockwaves across Washington, Moscow, Kiev, and the rest of the world. Trump's message was blunt. Russia is a very big power, and Ukraine is not. This statement is already stirring fierce debate. Some see it as a practical path toward ending Europe's deadliest war in nearly 80 years. Others see it as a dangerous concession, one that could embolden Moscow even further. So, what really happened at the Trump-Putin summit? What does this mean for Ukraine's future? And why are world leaders divided on whether this could lead to peace or an even deeper crisis? Let's break it all down. The Alaska Summit. On Friday, Trump and Putin met face-to-face in Alaska. It was the first U.S.Russia summit since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine back in February 2022. The meeting lasted just 3 hours, but the discussions were anything but light. According to sources, Putin put a bold offer on the table. If Ukraine surrendered all of Donetsk, Russia would freeze most of the current front lines. Now think about that. Russia already controls about a fifth of Ukraine. That includes 3/4 of Donetsk province. And now, Putin wanted the rest. When President Volodymyr Zelensky heard the proposal, he flatly rejected it. For Ukraine, surrendering Donetsk would not only mean losing valuable land, but also giving up a major industrial region, a shield that protects other Ukrainian territories. Trump's position. Here's where Trump's stance drew the most attention. Before the summit, he suggested that a ceasefire might be the best outcome. But after meeting with Putin, his tone shifted. He argued that instead of a temporary ceasefire, the world should push for a full peace agreement, one that ends the war entirely. On Truth Social, Trump wrote, "The best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement, not just a ceasefire, which often doesn't hold." Later, on Fox News, Trump revealed even more. He said he and Putin had largely agreed on issues like land transfers and security guarantees for Ukraine. He added, "I think we're pretty close to a deal, but Ukraine has to agree. Maybe they'll say no." And when asked what advice he'd give Zelensky, Trump's answer was sharp and short. "Gotta make a deal." Zelensky's response. For Zelensky, Trump's words were deeply troubling. He has repeated again and again, Ukraine cannot simply give up territory. Under the Ukrainian constitution, such concessions are almost impossible. Beyond the law, there's pride, there's security, and there's survival. Cities like Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, often called fortress cities, are not just dots on a map. They are vital defensive positions, protecting Ukraine from even deeper Russian advances. And Zelensky has been clear, Ukraine does not want another pause between invasions. It wants lasting peace backed by strong security guarantees. After speaking with Trump, he hinted that the US might be willing to play a role in those guarantees. Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, quickly supported that idea. He said, "Without strong guarantees, peace in Ukraine could never last." Putin's gains. From Moscow's perspective, the summit was already a victory. For Putin, just sitting at the same table with Trump was a win. Remember, since 2022, he's been shunned by most Western leaders. Sanctions piled up. His isolation grew deeper. And yet here he was, shaking hands with the American president, discussing Ukraine's future. Publicly, Putin repeated his long-held demands. Ukraine should give up Donetsk. Ukraine should be blocked from joining NATO. No promises of meeting Zelensky directly, but behind closed doors. Trump and Putin reportedly discussed land swaps and new security frameworks. Putin even hinted at ensuring Ukraine's security, but only on his terms. At the end of the summit, Putin smiled and told Trump, "Next time, in Moscow." Europe's reaction. Back in Europe, reactions were mixed. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer praised Trump, saying peace was closer than ever. But he added sanctions on Russia must continue until Moscow halts its barbaric assault. A joint statement from European leaders stressed, Ukraine must have ironclad security guarantees, and no outside power should block its right to join NATO. Not everyone agreed. Some European politicians accused Trump of giving Putin exactly what he wanted. Wolfgang Ischinger, a former German ambassador, said it bluntly. Putin got his red carpet treatment with Trump, while Trump got nothing. The bigger picture. So, where does this leave the war? Fighting rages on. Both Russia and Ukraine carried out airstrikes overnight, a daily occurrence. The war shows no sign of slowing down. Over 1 million people have already been killed or wounded since 2022. Every week, both sides pay a devastating price. For Trump, the big question is this: does urging Ukraine to compromise actually stop the bloodshed? Or does it risk weakening Ukraine's long-term security? For Putin, the optics are already a win. He can show the world that the United States is engaging with him directly, even as Europe tries to isolate him. For Zelensky, the stakes could not be higher. Ukraine's survival depends on its army and on the unwavering support of its allies. Conclusion: the Alaska summit lasted just 3 hours, but its impact could shape the next decade of global politics. Trump insists a peace deal is within reach. Putin says he's ready to negotiate, but only on his terms. Zelensky refuses to surrender land, and Europe remains divided, caught between hope for peace and fear of appeasement. One thing is clear: this is not just about Ukraine. The outcome of this war will decide NATO's future, the balance of power in Europe, and how far Russia will go in reshaping the world order. As Trump himself put it, look, Russia is a very big power, and they're not. Whether those words mark the start of peace or the beginning of a deeper crisis, only time will tell. Outro. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into global affairs.